Hi, the name of this Blender video tutorial is CameraPathFlyAround. This is a variation on the last video tutorial named Path Animation. In this tutorial, we'll combine both the Follow Path constraint and the Track To constraint in setting up a camera fly-around of an object. To demonstrate a camera path fly-around, I've modeled in my Blender scene a simple snowman scene. Now the first step is to constrain the camera object to a circular path. I'll go to Top View and place my 3D cursor in the center of the scene. Here I will add a curved circle object. I will zoom out and scale this curved circle object up a bit. I'll then name the curve object Camera Path. In front view, I'll raise the camera path object up a bit along the Z-axis, placing it above the snowman scene. Now before we can add a follow path constraint to the camera, we need to first reset its location and rotation settings. To do this, I'll select the camera object and press Alt-G. This resets its location setting to X, Y, and Z equals 0. I'll then press Alt-R. This resets its rotation settings to X, Y, and Z equals 0 degrees rotation. Then, with the camera object still selected, I'll go to the Constraint Editor and add a constraint. I'll select the Follow Path constraint. In the Target Object box, I'll select the Camera Path object. This places the camera object on the camera path. For the forward axis, I'll select -Z. For the up axis, I'll select Y. This will orient the correct top and bottom of the camera. I'll next select the camera path object and go to the Object Data Editor. In the Path Animation panel, I'll make sure that the Path Animation checkbox is checked. Now I want the animation to run for 200 frames. So I'll set the length of the animation to 200 frames in the timeline window. I'll also set the number of path frames in the Object Data Path Animation panel to 200. We now have to create keyframes for the path animation evaluation time. I'll make sure that the timeline is set to frame 1, and the evaluation time is set to 0.0. I'll right-click the evaluation time box and insert a keyframe. This will record the evaluation time for the path animation for frame 1 to 0, which is the start of the path. I'll now go to frame number 200, and I'll set the evaluation time to 200. Then I'll right-click and add another keyframe. This will record the evaluation time for the path animation for frame 200 to 200, which is the end of the path. I'll go back to frame number 1 and play the animation. The camera moves around the camera path object. I'll stop the animation, select the camera path object, and go to the Graph Editor. To see the curve more clearly, I'll click View, View All. Now I do not want the animation to ease into frame 200 or ease out of frame 1, so I'll press the A key to select all the control points, or keyframes, and then press the V key and select Vector Handles. This will straighten out the curve. I'll go back to the 3D viewport and play the animation. The camera moves along the camera path object at a constant speed. The next step is to constrain the camera object so that it points to a specific object no matter the position of that object or the position of the camera. I'll go to Top View and place my 3D cursor in the center of the scene. Here I will add an empty object. Empty objects are not rendered. I'll name this empty object Camera Focus. I'll go to Front View and select the Blender camera object, and then go to the Constraint Editor and add a second constraint. I'll select the Track 2 constraint. In the Target Object box, I'll select the Camera Focus Empty Object. I'll set the To axis to -Z and the Up axis to Y. The camera object will now point at the Camera Focus Empty Object no matter the position of the empty object or the camera object. I'll then place the Camera Focus Empty Object in the middle of the snowman, checking it from both front and side views. I'll play the animation. The camera focuses on the Camera Focus Empty Object as it moves along the camera path circle. This is an easy method for creating a fly-around animation of your scene, but there are some points to keep in mind. First, the Follow Path constraint must be above the Track 2 constraint in the camera's constraint stack. Second, the curved circle path can be edited to any closed shape. This means that the fly-around can move in close at some points in the circle and move out in other parts. It can also be edited in 3 dimensions, allowing for up and down perspectives.